I've
You
seen
got the Comrex feed going, Sean?
Say it again.
You got the Comrex feed going, Sean, so we can hear
20
it?
seconds.
Considering we got...
Turn it on right now.
Okay.
Afternoon and all new shows from BetQL, streaming live right now on Odyssey.
This program is a paid commercial announcement and in no way represents the views of WPHT or its management.
WPHT, WPHT-HD, WOGL HD3 Philadelphia. An Odyssey station. Investor Schooling Live with Phil Falcone and Larry Steinhaus on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
You're hot.
Good afternoon and welcome to Investor Schooling Live. Coming to you from Investor Schooling headquarters. I'm Phil Falcone here with my business partner Larry Steinhaus. We are the founders of Investor Schooling. Get ready to learn real estate investing and stock option investing. You can call us anytime during the show with your questions at 855-939-1137. That's 855-939-1137. Yes, we are a live program, so you can call us anytime during the show, and we'll take your calls. Don't even worry about what we're talking about because we love to take your calls. Investor Schooling is located in Langhorne, Pennsylvania, serving the Philadelphia area in a real brick-and-mortar building. We are local guys accessible to our students a minimum of 2 nights per week. Learn this business, the business of real estate investing and stock option investing, from people who live it every day. That's us. So on today's show, we're going to be talking about a few topics. Bill Gates is America's largest owner of farmland with 242,000 acres. We're going to talk about that, and I think some of that statement is pretty scary. Okay, be fearful when others are greedy and greedy when others are fearful. We're going to talk about that famous saying by a famous guy. Will you regret buying a house in 2021? Question mark. Why you should almost never pay off your house? Buy land, they are not making it anymore. We're going to talk about that. Get a HELOC, a home equity line of credit, on any home you own so you can borrow your equity back to make investments that are going to make cash flow for you. In the last 10 minutes of our show, we're going to have the stock option Sultan come here, and he's going to give us his picks of the week. If you are a stock trader, an option trader, a covered call trader, you want to listen to these picks. And we've also had some questions emailed into us, and I think for 3 weeks we haven't answered these questions. So we might want to make an effort today to try to answer them. One of them is, what formula do you guys use to buy wholesale deals? Do you teach other topics or just stocks and real estate? Why is my home's assessed value different from the market value? And there was a young lady on the Facebook Live who was begging for the answer to that question.
There was.
Yes. So what's happening, Larry?
I don't know, Phil. I'm just trying to figure out, how upset you were last week, and I really want to talk about what happened last week.
How upset I was?
Yeah, he was very upset. So for you guys who listened to the show last week, I don't know if you know this, but Phil was very, very upset last week. So, by the way, if you guys are listening, you need to call in 855-939-1137, 855-939-1137. And, if you were listening last week, and just confirm with me how upset Phil was. And I noticed that you intentionally didn't put it on today's topics. So I must now know who killed JFK.
You really must know?
I must know.
You want to go right into that now?
I need to know, Phil. All week, I got to tell you, all week I lost sleep over how much I upset you because I interrupted your story on how you know who killed JFK.
You really didn't upset me that much, but what you kept doing was breaking my chain of thought, which made it very difficult to tell you this incredibly difficult story. You want the guy's name?
The guy's name? No, I want you to tell me how you figured it out.
I'm going to tell you.
Well, come on, let's go.
The guy who ultimately killed Kennedy, okay? First, let's start with Oswald. Oswald's up in the, book depository from the 6th floor window, and he's using a bolt-action rifle, which is designed to shoot like a Full Metal Jacket bullet for long distance. Yeah, go ahead. Give me 3 shots, actually. 3. Thank you. Thank you. I didn't know you were going to have actual sound effects for it. Okay? I now believe in a theory which has been put out by a gentleman named Colin McLaren. He's a homicide detective from Australia. He decided to take on the case. He flew to Dealey Plaza. He did a full, extensive examination of the whole situation. So really, ballistics is what proves this theory. So the bolt-action rifle that Oswald was using, it just fires a shot that drills. It drills a hole in whatever you hit, okay? So it went straight through Kennedy's throat, in the back of his spine, came out as Adam's apple, went into Connolly's body. And if you watch the movie from Oliver Stone that JFK made, he makes it sound like the bullet was crazy and did a bunch of turns, right? But that's not actually true, because the Connolly, who was sitting right in front of Kennedy, in a jump seat, which was actually lower and closer to the inside of the car, had turned right. And if you look at the ballistics, this guy, Colin McLaren, proved that the bullet was a perfectly straight shot. Connolly was turned to the right. That's how it went through his wrist and buried in his left knee, okay, in his left thigh. So what this guy, Colin McLaren, says is that the single bullet theory is correct. But the people who examined it, all right, they missed all of that. They missed the position of the people, the position that they were sitting in. All right? So what does all this mean? A Full Metal Jacket just drills a perfect hole in anything it hits, okay? It goes right through the body, and that's what it's designed to do. It's designed to go like a mile and go through a person, okay? But if you've seen the Zapruder film, you know Kennedy's skull explodes.
Sure.
Okay? Well, a bolt-action rifle can't do that, okay? But what can? A bullet that is designed to explode, you can buy them anywhere, right? You can even make them yourself just by getting a knife and carving out the shape of a pizza on the top of a bullet. And then what happens when the bullet hits a bone, it splits off in 6 different directions. You understand that concept? Okay, don't even answer that. Here's who shot Kennedy. You ready?
I'm ready.
I'm going to lay it on you. The guy's name is George Hickey. He was a Secret Service agent who had only worked with the Secret Service for 4 months. 4 months prior to Kennedy's assassination, he was hired. His first job was to clean the car, fill it up with oil, make sure it was waxed and looked good and had gas. Okay, that was his job. The Secret Service, in the back seat of that car, which was following Kennedy, an AR-15 was on the floor. So when Oswald started shooting at Kennedy, in the back seat was Secret Service agent George Hickey. He reached down, he picked up the AR-15. I will show you a picture of him right now. If anybody out there doesn't believe me, you can read the Warren Report, page 761, and you can read all about George Hickey. Okay? So what happened was he pulled out the rifle, he released the safety. What happened next? He either accidentally shot Kennedy in the back of the head and the bullet exploded, blowing the side of his right side of his head out, or he did it on purpose. Either way, that's the only place the shot could have came from. There were 11 witnesses on the street who smelled gunpowder. 7 of them were Secret Service agents. You could never smell the gunpowder of Oswald being 6 stories high. And Oswald's weapon had no ability to blow the side of someone's head out. But an AR-15, that's pretty standard, okay? Especially if you're a Secret Service agent, you're going to have the most deadly ammunition in that gun possible. Page 761 mentions George Hickey, and what's really freaky is he goes on the ride to Parkland Hospital and was carrying around the AR-15 inside the hospital the whole time.
And didn't he then clean out the car? Or was it somebody else?
Well,
who
the
cleaned
car was, that was done by Lyndon Johnson. Lyndon Johnson ordered the car to be cleaned.
Yeah.
Okay, and then so ask yourself this. You can believe in two conspiracies. Let's call one of them the JFK movie by Oliver Stone. A very, very complicated mix of the mafia, the CIA, the Cubans, the Russians. Everybody was involved in it, right? What Colin McLaren is saying in his theory is it was an accidental killing, or potentially he was put there as a plant to do it, okay? Either way, the simplest solution is a heck of a lot easier to believe than that whole giant conundrum of conspiracies, okay? So the way I look
But
at
Oswald was still in the depository shooting at Kennedy.
well,
So he was supposed to be killed.
who was supposed to be killed?
Kennedy
Well,
was
of
supposed to
course,
be
of
killed.
course.
Yeah.
Yes, he
So-
was, as they
right.
said in the movie, a dead duck. He
Yes.
wasn't getting out of there.
Yes.
Okay, so
So if the bullet came from Hickey, is that right?
yes,
If
George
the-
Hickey is
right.
his
If
name.
the bullet
Secret
came from
Service
Hickey
agent
that
George
actually
Hickey.
killed him accidentally or on purpose, he was. You're right. He
Okay,
was-
so now you have a reason
who
for
set it all up.
Okay, so let's talk about it. Now you have a reason for a cover-up. Okay, the Secret Service was embarrassed by the fact that their
Okay.
own person
That makes sense.
killed
Sure.
the president accidentally while trying to possibly protect him.
Right.
Or possibly he was a plan to kill him. Either way you look at it, it's a much simpler solution.
Okay. So for all of you who stopped listening a little while ago, we will get back to real estate and stock options right now.
All right, well, let's get started.
But there's a lot of people out there who are going to feel this way about you.
That's fine. I don't sit around at night and worry about what people think of me.
I certainly don't. That's for sure, right?
Let me tell you something. If you'd like to learn a little bit about the theory, you can get a lot of this information from Amazon Prime. There's a documentary called JFK, The Smoking Gun.
All right, I like it.
Okay, let's get on to some real estate.
I just want to say now I'm really happy that I actually listened to this because now it's exciting to listen to. By the way, you're a history buff, aren't you?
Yes, I don't watch really regular TV. I do like movies, but I mostly watch documentaries. I watch documentaries that nobody would watch. Documentary makers don't watch the documentaries I watch.
Well, you should make a documentary.
Yeah, I'm thinking of making one.
What would you like to make a documentary on?
I was thinking about making it about me.
About you?
Yeah,
Oh, you think you're that exciting?
I think I could embellish it enough that it would be.
All right, that's good.
How about we talk a little real estate?
Let's do that. By the way, 855-939-1137, 855-939-1137, and feel free to contradict Phil's theory
Yeah, sure.
because we have nothing else to talk about, and
Yes, we
and
do.
since you just brought the whole room down, I don't even know.
If you would shut up, we would have something to talk about.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what do you want to talk about?
Let's talk about Bill Gates is America's largest owner of farmland with 242,000 acres. Okay? I do not trust Bill Gates. I think he is a creepy dude.
Is this the conspiracy theory day? Is that it? Is that what we're just going from conspiracy theory
I'm
to
just sharing
conspiracy
with you
theory?
my opinion. Are you going to let me talk, or
Are you-
am I going to have to come over there and
Are you going to
break
put a
your
magnet
nose again?
Are you going to put a magnet on your arm where you got your vaccine?
I didn't get a vaccine. I would never get a
Oh
vaccine.
no, you don't say it on the radio. Don't
Yeah.
you know that if you don't have a
Larry
vaccine while you're on the
Steinhaus
radio,
never got a vaccine.
don't you know that if you're on the radio and you didn't get the vaccine, everybody listening can get coronavirus?
Yeah. If you listen to the sports stations, you hear a bunch of these crybabies coming on and going, the Eagles players, 50% of the Eagles players don't have the vaccine. They're being so irresponsible. No, they're being very responsible. They don't want to put poison in their bodies. They don't want to die.
I will not confirm or deny whether I've gotten a vaccine.
Okay. Bill Gates has purchased 242,000 acres of farmland. I know for a fact that he also has been getting patents on seeds and putting them in a vault.
Before you go on to this, I just have to say that Scott on Facebook, he writes the new billboard should say conspiracy schooling.
That's great. All right, so are you going to comment at all on the first topic, or are you just going to...
Bill Gates owning all that. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, it's going into conspiracy theories again, and I can't even begin to comment on that.
You can't.
No, I mean, do I have like, am I worried about it? I'm worried about it a little bit. That's it.
I think it's a pretty scary thing when somebody's trying to corner the agricultural industry.
Well, of course, and but it may even be some. It may be, well, was it the road? The road to hell was paved in good intentions, right? But it may be good intentions. Maybe he wants to create a dome. The dome kind of living. Who knows?
All right. Well, I got an idea. Let's go to a question that maybe you'd be interested in talking about.
It's not that I'm not interested in talking about it. I just don't understand. I don't know where to go with that. You're the conspiracy
Okay,
theory
so
guy.
let's go to a question that you might be interested in.
I'm going home now. Forget the question. I want to know what the next conspiracy theory is. Wait. Let's see. Let me see if we can find one. Oh, here we go. Buy land. They aren't making it anymore. That's a topic. That's certainly a conspiracy theory.
Really?
Yeah.
What, do you think they can make more?
No, I just don't know if
They can, actually. It's called dredging.
Is it called dredging? So there you go. So now you already
Trash. There are parts of Boston that were made of trash. They dumped.
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, sure.
And
Yeah.
It's the northern part of the city. I forget what it's called. Maybe it's Charlestown.
I don't know.
Right. It might be Charleston. I don't know the name of the town particularly, the neighborhood, but it was built on trash.
I do have to say this is the most interesting show.
Really.
I'm not sure if I want to say it's the best show,
you
but
don't
it's
wanna-
definitely the most interesting show so
Well,
far.
Maybe if you tried to contribute to the show, it might be better.
I'm trying to contribute to what? I'm not a conspiracy theorist.
Okay, so how about be fearful when others are greedy and be greedy when others are fearful?
Okay, good.
What do you think
Something
of
I can finally talk about.
that? Well, please do.
Actually, we teach this. We actually teach our own version of this called the steak and tuna theory.
Okay, lay it on us.
All right, cool. So it's actually, I believe it's Warren Buffett who said, be fearful when others are greedy and greedy when others are fearful.
It's a very basic philosophy of investing.
Absolutely. And, it was great. It was a great, I have to say, it was a great lesson to be reminded of a year ago or a little over a year ago when COVID or actually government overreach started up and the stock market tanked. And honestly, most of us, we should have gotten really, really greedy. Some did. But most of us should have gotten really, really greedy. We actually got scared because we didn't know when it was going to end. It wasn't about whether we thought the stocks were going to come back. We all knew they were going to come back. We just didn't know when, and that was a problem. We should have instead of being fearful along with everyone else, we should have just turned around and said we're going to be greedy, and here it is.
I think we were plenty greedy.
We made money.
I had
no doubt,
the
but-
most financial gains in the stock market between March of 2020 and February of 2020.
That's fine, but think about this. You could have just bought Snap. Just Snap. That's it. And you could have bought it on below 10 a year and a half ago when it's almost 80.
So what's the difference if I bought Snap or Apple or Facebook or whatever it was? I bought a combination of other things.
Sure.
But it still was. I think we were plenty greedy, and we did really well in that time frame.
Yeah, and then
Our problem started
Yeah.
sometime around February of
Right.
2021.
right when
Then we
Biden
had
came
some-
in and kind of like spooked everybody.
And all the scare tactics, the
Right.
Lambda,
No, the
and
Delta
Delta
variant.
variant, and this variant, and
Right.
scaring everybody to get the vaccine. Scare tactics. You want to talk about conspiracy theories? There's a big one right there.
What, the Delta variant?
Everything about the whole coronavirus.
Oh, absolutely.
Everything.
There's
From
no doubt
beginning
in my
to
mind.
end.
Yes,
is-
absolutely. There's way too much stuff in it that doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah.
But that's my conspiracy theory. Because, I proved that masks don't work.
So do you want to talk a little bit about your steak and tuna theory? And
Yeah,
how
so
it relates to the
real
Buffett
simple.
comment?
So basically, what happens, and we teach it very simply. So instead of worrying about fearful and getting greedy, we actually talk about what's something called the steak and tuna theory. And how this works is kind of funny, but how it works is real simple. We want, if the stock is at the top, basically the money managers at the end of the week, they get paid bonuses based on how much they make in their funds. And it's real simple. So at the end of the week, they want to make money. So when they see it hit a certain point, they sell it. And if they sell it and they make money, they get to take their wife, their girlfriend, their mistress, or all three out to a nice steak dinner, the Capitol Grill down the road from Wall Street. That's actually one of my favorite Capitol Grills, the one on Broadway, 120 Broadway. And they get to take their girlfriend, their wife, or their mistress, or all three out to dinner. And if they do that, then they've won. Now, what happens is if they don't sell it in time, they have to have either their girlfriend, their wife, or their mistress make them a tuna fish sandwich because they lost money that week. And that's basically the theory. And when some people are right now going, that sounds like a conspiracy theory too. But it's not. And actually, when you start to actually listen to it and understand the steak and tuna theory, it makes total sense. It makes absolute sense because it eliminates all the other BS that you typically going to see, like the earnings announcements and news articles and other conspiracy articles and the fake news. By the way, the stock market has the most fake news of anything I've ever seen in my life, and it's actually hysterical when I watch some of the fake news and the repeat of the article. They actually repeat an article to lower the stock. It's amazing to me.
Will you regret buying a house in 2021?
That's a really good question, actually. So I believe that there's no such thing as ever regretting buying a house. It all depends on what your purpose is. You may regret the decision of the purpose, but not necessarily buying a house. Anytime you buy a house, so let's talk about, first of all, the house that you're going to live in. So let's talk about that one first. That's the easiest one to not regret. If it's everything you wanted and you can afford to pay it and you're going to live there for some time, minimum 7 years. If you're going to live there for some time, you absolutely should never regret it. It may go down in price, and 7 years from now, you may sell it for what you paid for it. But so what? You got to live in the house you wanted. Your rent never went up because you owned the property. Maybe it went up a little bit because of taxes or if there's an association fee, but nothing substantial. So you're definitely not going to regret a house that you buy that you're going to live in. So if you're going to live in a house, don't even worry about it. Just buy the house. That's the best thing for you to do. It's like buying a car that you always wanted. You already know the car is going to go down in value. You might as well just enjoy driving it. So that's the theory on that. Now, as far as a house that's a rental property or an investment property, you can regret it if you bought it wrong. It doesn't matter what the price is. I mean, Phil, would you sell me your house right now for $1.5 million?
Of course.
Of course, right? It's, by the way, Phil's house is worth about $50,000. No, it's probably worth a lot more than that, but it's not worth $1.5 million. But if I gave you $1,500 a month for 1,000 months, would you sell it to me now? And that's $1.5 million.
I never have sold anything with seller financing.
Right, but there you go. But if I did that, if I gave him $1.5 million for his house, I gave him $1,500 a month for 1,000 months, that's giving him his $1.5 million. I don't really care what I paid for the house as long as I can rent that house for, let's say, $2,000 or $2,500 a month. I'm going to make $1,000 a month, and way past after I die, because after 1,000 months, it's going to be a very long time. I don't have to worry about it anymore. So that's why it doesn't matter. So as long as you're making money and as long as the rent is going to pay more than your expenses, you're going to be fine. How's that sound? How's that for an answer for you, Phil?
It's actually 83.33 years.
83.33 years? Okay.
83.33 years.
So, yeah. So I probably won't be around. And neither will you, actually.
You won't, but your grandkids will be making the payments.
And actually, if they're making payments, eventually, the funny part is eventually the house really will be worth $1.5 million.
Somewhere probably 30 years from now, it'll have so much equity in it that somebody will sell it anyway.
Right, exactly, right.
Okay.
Right.
So, like, when I asked the question, will you regret buying a house in 2021, I'm thinking that there may be some people who regret it because they expect to make all kinds of money off their primary residence. But in the end, I agree with what you said, that it doesn't really matter. Even if it goes down $25,000 in value, it'll come back to you. And I've experienced that because the first house I bought in 1989, I paid too much for it. It was an investment property. It did make money, but it was too close to break even at the time that I bought it. And the ensuing years after 1989 were pretty rough. Between, say, 6 years after 1989, like 1995, it started to increase in value. And then by 2008, I was up a bundle. But, so I did experience that on my very first purchased property. My very first investment property, which I bought through conventional means. So what about why you should almost never pay off your house?
Well, hold on. Take one step back, because I just want to say one thing. So when people buy a house to live in, it is not an investment, ever. I don't care what your mother told you and your father told you. It is never an investment to buy a property you're going to live in, unless it happens to be a multifamily
I agree,
house.
But I'm talking about the mindset of
Right.
people who aren't investors.
Right, unless it's a
They think it
multifamily
is.
house. Right, exactly, and that's why I want to correct people. Unless it's a multifamily house, it is not an investment property at all. It is a house that you're going to live in, and that's it. If you happen to sell it for more money than you made, great. Then you pay for it, then great. And the odds of that happening is going to happen, but still, when you sell that house, you still got to move into another house. So just know that you're not buying a house to live in as an investment. It's the only one that's not an investment. In fact, if you actually go, when they ask you what your net worth is, they actually say, the funny part, they actually say, what's your net worth excluding your primary residence.
Still, though, there are people out there who their greatest asset is nothing more than their primary residence.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
And
Well,
you know,
because they
that's-
never invested.
Right.
They lived their whole life working for somebody else, making that person rich, and living the just over broke philosophy
Correct.
of having a job,
Yeah.
and never stepped out of their world and did something like learn how to do real estate investing or stock option investing.
Well, it's funny because there are two people out there. There are two philosophies out there. One is be completely out of debt and just be mediocre, and there are people who teach us, and I understand that philosophy, but that's not what we're going to teach. We're not going to teach people to be out of debt. We're going to teach people to get into massive debt, but not massive debt to go buy cars and furniture. Massive debt to go buy investment properties that the tenants are paying the debt.
It sounds like you're moving right into the next topic.
Which was?
Why you should almost never pay off your house.
Well, that's an interesting one. So when you say your house, do you mean the house you're living in, or do you mean an investment property?
In this case, I'm talking about a primary residence.
Okay, so I also don't necessarily agree with that.
Okay.
I actually like the idea of paying off my primary residence only. Now, of course, there is tax deductions on the interest, which is fine. But if I was going to pay off my primary residence, what I would do, however, is I'd get a HELOC, which I think is the next topic too, isn't it?
It's one of the topics coming up.
So I would get a HELOC. And the reason I would get a HELOC is because I can use that HELOC to invest in other things, such as investment properties, stock market, whatever it is that I want to put that money into. And by the way, if you're investing with your HELOC in the stock market, then you better make sure that you understand one thing. If you lose all that money, you could still make that payment. So don't make the mistake of thinking that I'm sitting here advising you and saying to borrow money to invest in the stock market. I never advise that. There are only certain times when I advise that, and that's somebody who, they just want to get the money at 3% interest. They don't want to take money out of the bank.
Hey, Pedro, I want you to write down this date because Larry actually read the script today.
Every week, for you guys don't know, every week Phil writes a script, and I actually have to sit there, and he makes me read it. Don't you
No.
know that I can't read?
He doesn't actually read it at all. I have to tell him everything. And by the way, the question stated that we're not on yet is get a HELOC on any home you own and borrow your equity back to make investments.
Right, and there's another thing you can do with your HELOC. So if you're paying 3 to 4% interest on your HELOC money, lend the money to someone else who's investing in real estate. And that's okay. This way you have a mortgage against that real estate. So if they don't pay, you get their real estate, but make sure there's plenty of equity in it, just like a bank would. And if they pay you, then you're making money on your money. You could charge them 7 or 8%. You're paying 3 or 4%. Now, right off the bat, if you're paying 4 and they're paying 8, you think you're making 4% on your money. You're making a lot more than 4%. You're making 4% on the first payment only. Every other payment after that, you make more than 4% by a fraction of a percent.
Well, another thing I want to point out is so why you should almost never pay off your house. We talk about it all the time at the school. Every once in a while, we will hit windfalls where we get a large amount of cash that we make from the investments that we're doing with stock options. And we always recommend that you go and pay off a huge chunk of your mortgage or something substantial that you're making monthly payments on. You can pay off your car, you can pay off your house, or try to pay off your house, or just throw a large chunk of money at it, because the stock market can be volatile, and you're going to have great periods of time, and you're not going to have great periods of time. So you'll sleep much better at night knowing that you paid off 50% of your house's mortgage with the windfall that you had, when and if you ever have one.
So why don't we go to commercial? In this way, Investor's Conspiracy Theory. I'm sorry, was it Conspiracy Theory Schooling? I don't remember what it was. We'll come back. How's that, Phil?
That sounds fine to me.
All right, send us out, John.
Hi, I'm
Clear.
from InvestorSchooling.com. I'm inviting you to a complimentary class in Langhorne
This whole day.
Thursday night at 7 p.m. I will teach you how to buy ugly houses
Yeah, true.
and make them beautiful. As a
warm up my
bonus,
coffee.
we will also
Okay.
teach you stock option investing. So get your butt to this meeting, 7 p.m. this Thursday night, Langhorne,
He doesn't like the microphone in your face.
215-876-3002, InvestorSchooling.com.
Hey everybody, it's Larry Sinus from InvestorSchooling.com. You heard my partner partner Phil Falcone tell you why you should be there this Thursday night to learn about real estate investing and learn about stock options trading. We're telling you right now, you will make more money than you've ever made in your entire life if you learn these two skills. Be there this Thursday night at 7 o'clock in our Langhorne headquarters. Go to investorschooling.com. Pull over right now. Take out your phone and go to investorschooling.com. RSVP right now. Investorschooling.com. See you Thursday.
Hi, I'm Phil Falcone from Executech Suites. We're an executive suite center in Huntington Valley on Buck Road, 67 Buck Road, Huntington Valley. I'm sure you've driven past it. We're right in between Street Road and County Line Road. We have 47 offices in the prestigious address of Huntington Valley. I have offices starting at $595 a month. You're probably wondering, Phil, what do I get for $595 a month? Let me tell you. You get an office big enough for one person. You get the furniture in that office. You get the telephone on the desk. You get the telephone numbers. You get the fax numbers. You get 2 full-time receptionists to answer the phone in the name of your company and patch the calls to you. So if your company's ABC Painting Company, hey, ABC Painting Company, how can I help you? Would you like to talk to Bob? Let me get him on the phone. You could be home sleeping on your couch and I'll patch the calls right to you. What else do we give you? We give you the conference rooms. We give you the kitchen. We give you the mailboxes, the printer, the copier, the scanner, UPS service, you name it. All of the utilities, cleaning service, and best of all, we give you free coffee. Get yourself to Executech Suites. Phone number is 215-942-7701. 215-942-7701. Executechsuites.com.
You're hot.
Chatter, the commercial chatter. We have some fun during the intercommercials. Anyway,
Yeah, we actually talk to each other. We're weird like that.
yeah, we actually do. By the way, if you want to call in, 855-939-1137. If there's anyone left, by the way, who's still listening to the show in their car, 855-939-1137. Please call in. Let us know what's going on.
You're actually like worried that people are tuning out because you asked me about the JFK assassination?
No, I'm more worried that they might be tuning in.
That is probably one of the most interesting topics in American history.
You
heard me.
I don't know about that one, but that's pretty good. I like it. I like it a lot. I'm glad you finally did it. But by the way, anybody call in 855-939-1137, 855-939-1137, and we will be more than happy to talk to you about anything and everything you want to talk about that has to do with money and or JFK.
All right, so you want to keep going?
I think we have to. We kind of have 25 more minutes that we have to talk during.
Good, because I don't know if you're going to actually come along with us or not, but I hope you do.
I'm scared of you, man, right now. Of course.
So buy land. They aren't making any more of it.
Didn't you just say they were?
I said that they have.
So
They did it in Boston, in Charleston.
Right. So if they're making more land, then how do you say buy land? They're not making any more of it.
Well, because I didn't say this saying. Somebody
And
else
besides,
did.
Bill Gates just bought it all. You just said.
He didn't buy trash land. You can't grow anything in trash.
Bill Gates will figure out how to grow it in trash.
I wouldn't eat anything that was grown in trash. Let's put it that way.
You wouldn't know. Soylent Green is people. You ever see that movie?
No.
Oh, you'd like that movie. Soylent Green. You need to watch this movie, Soylent Green. It's a conspiracy movie about the future.
I probably wouldn't like it.
It's a conspiracy movie about the future.
Okay. Are you going to answer any of these questions?
What was the
seriously?
question? I forgot what it was.
What do you think about buying land, Larry?
So I'm not a big fan of buying land. Now that doesn't mean it's not a good investment. So please understand that we just can't.
Bill Gates certainly thinks it is.
Well, I don't think he's investing in it. I think he's investing in something different that's not money. In other words, he's not buying the land for $10 and selling it for $20. I think he's investing in something completely different than you and I could even imagine.
I think he's got a plan that's some kind of secret plan.
Yeah.
Acquiring 242,000 acres of farmland. He could always rent the farmland back to the farmers who owned it.
He can, but I don't think that's his thing. I mean, the guy, he doesn't need money, so he's not doing it for money. Whatever he's doing it for is either
world domination, possibly?
It's possible.
Okay, so if you control the seeds and you control all the farmland, you are in a pretty powerful position.
Yeah, I understand, but now we're going back to conspiracy theories again.
It's called facts. I'm sorry if they bother you.
No.
If they keep you up at night. I could come over and maybe read you a bedtime story. I don't know.
It's whether you feel that he's doing it to control the world or not.
Well,
that's the conspiracy theory.
You just
if he's
said
doing it
yourself.
because he's having some fun and he wants to do it, he wants to build some dome and have people living in it.
See,
that's different.
You
know?
just said yourself he doesn't need the money, so why would he do it?
Because
he's not doing it as an investment.
No, but it may not be. It may not be a bad thing. It may be a good thing.
I think it's more likely that it is. It's like a Dr. Evil thing.
Well, well, here you go. You got people on Facebook saying, "Look, Bill Gates is doing it for evil," and we already had Dr. Evil launched into the stratosphere the other day.
Yeah, I saw that.
That was hysterical, wasn't it?
I don't
that
know
rocket
that
ship that was a phallic
I think
symbol.
that those guys are evil. They're just doing something that they probably always wanted to do.
Oh,
since they
I
were
don't
kids.
necessarily think they're evil either. I just found it funny that.
In fact, I love the fact that we're not paying for it with our tax dollars. That
Yes.
people like the Jeff Bezos is doing it, and Elon Musk is doing it, and Richard Branson is doing it. So
yeah, and
I don't care how much money they spend on it. I'm
Right.
fine with it.
and as I've said before, I think that they're only doing it so they can actually get back to their home planet. Because I believe that those guys are all aliens, and they came here to just figure out how to get. And they came here on the same ship, blew up. It's at Area 50. Was it Area 51?
So you want to talk about that a little bit?
Which one? Area 51?
No, about those three guys I just mentioned. Elon Musk, Jeff.
This is the most interesting show we've ever done, or the most boring show I've ever done. I'm not sure which. Guys, let me know. Hey, please, somebody call in and say whether you're interested in this. 855-939-1137. 855-939-1137. Please tell me whether this is a good show or a bad show, because if it's a good show, I'm pretty excited about it. If it's a bad show, we might be thrown off the air.
So you got Jeff Bezos, you got Elon Musk, you got Richard Branson. Out of those three guys, which one do you like the best? Which one do you think has the most honorable intentions?
I have no idea, but out of the three, I like Elon Musk the best.
Me too. I
Okay.
would say Elon Musk is more like a modern day Edison.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, and I think he's a good guy. I'm not so sure about Bezos and Branson, but they seem pretty harmless to me, at least at
Yeah,
this moment.
I mean, if you look at early videos of Bezos, you realize that he hit it. He just hit the right thing. He hit
He
it
had
the right thing at the right
idea and
time.
he made
Yeah,
it happen.
exactly. So
He's
I,
obviously a great E CEO.
right, and I'm a big fan of anyone who is successful in any business, to any extreme. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate for small businesses that the government overreach destroyed everyone else's business, and now Amazon is the only place to buy anything anymore. But that's not Bezos' fault. Bezos happened to be in the right place, the right
It
time.
could have been part of a plan, though, because let's face it. So large companies can be swindled for large amounts of money by politicians
Absolutely.
rather easily. Okay, a
And it
small
is being done.
family-owned hardware store cannot do anything for the criminals. I mean, the politicians that run our country.
Yes, that's exactly right.
So it makes perfect sense that if you crush small business and you help big business, you have a much better chance of getting paid by those big businesses.
That's right. So listen. So if one of the few politicians who's left who understands capitalism and believes capitalism will be great for each person living in America, please reach out to Investor Schooling and help us. No?
How would they do that?
I don't care. They could just let people know that we exist. They could actually go on. We could have Donald Trump stand up and go to investorschooling.com and learn how to make more money than you ever made in your entire
We
life.
should get Trump to do a little intro for us.
We could probably figure that out. Yes,
I think we could.
I think we're big
I
enough.
sent
to,
him a free book about 14 years ago. I'm sure he remembers.
Yes, I'm sure he did. All right. Yikes! This is
All
getting
right.
interesting.
Next question. Well, it's actually not a question, it's a statement. But get a HELOC on any home you own and borrow your equity back to make investments with.
By the way, I want to talk about that real quick for somebody on the show. So Jamie says the show is way off into Uranus being the planet, which is kind of funny because we have a saying here that we do that often. But I just found it very funny that you put that up there. For those of you who understand what that means, it's why we've got off the planet on this show. But HELOC, I just want to talk about this for a second because we mentioned it before. Most people think you can only get a HELOC on your primary residence. That's not true. You can get a HELOC on an investment property, and I suggest you get a HELOC on every investment property you have that has any equity in it, even if you're not going to use the HELOC.
What bank have you used to get HELOCs on.
So actually, I found Univest Bank and Trust, which is near us. I have a relationship there, and I think it's a great place to go to get HELOCs on investment properties, and they will do it. They'll only give you a maximum of $100,000, period. So
I'll just share this with you. I was able to get a commercial version of a HELOC on Executech, but they only gave me $30,000.
Oh, that's
and
interesting.
That was from Key Bank.
That's interesting.
Key Bank, you've heard of that?
So, but Executech, yeah, I haven't heard of it, but Executech, it's so huge and there's so much equity in it. I'm kind of surprised they would only give you $30,000.
Well, it was more like we didn't even need it necessarily. It was just like, hey, when they offered $30,000, we
Right.
just took it because
Right.
my wife thought, well, why not? We'll have it
Right.
if we need it.
Right, absolutely.
And we're not using it to do investments really, but we have used it to make improvements to the building, things like that. So we don't have to tap in our own cash. We just use this line, and then the business pays back the line. So it's no big deal.
So you remember Crazy Eddie?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so Crazy Eddie, I used to work for Crazy Eddie. I had several careers in Crazy
I
Eddie.
know you're a lot like Crazy Eddie, I think.
No, I think Crazy Eddie wasn't anywhere near as crazy as I am. But Eddie Antar, who I met several times, he used to talk about in meetings before he became full-fledged criminal. When he was just a little shady. But one of the things he would talk about that I actually really thought was great advice was always borrow money when you don't need it, because when you need it, you can't get it. And that's definitely a philosophy to follow. Get as much money as you can, and get as much money as you can from banks. Have it ready to go, like in HELOCs or in credit cards. I mean, as you know, right now it's $734,000, I believe, available to me on credit cards. $734,000 available to me on credit cards, which is great. And everybody out there is going to go, what would anybody do with $734,000 worth of available credit cards? They said, I'll let you know when I use it. Mm-hmm. But at least I know I have it. And the best part, too, is my credit score will be higher because 10% of my credit score, 10% of my money that I can borrow off of that money is $74,000, which means that I can borrow up to $74,000 before it affects my credit score. Most people who have a $10,000 credit card, if they borrow $2,000, it already dents their credit score. And we teach credit building here as well. And when you come to investorschooling.com, you're going to learn credit building as well, and how to build credit and how to have credit ready for you when something happens.
So we talked about two different banks that we know are lending on non-primary residence properties. That's interesting, and I'd like to know if there's more. If anybody out there has gotten a secondary loan or a potential something like a home equity line of credit on an investment property, we would love to have you call us. And our phone number is 855-939-1137, 855-939-1137.
Yeah, and if your bank does it, feel free to call us and let us know. We'll give you a free plug because, honestly, that's great for us. So 855-939-1137, somebody call in. Somebody call in and let me know if you found this interesting or not. Today's show is interesting. I actually think today's show is one of my favorites, although we went into the conspiracy theories a little bit more interesting than I thought we would.
Conspiracy is just the spice of life.
Is it?
Warren Buffett said that.
Is it? So I don't know. I still think my favorite conspiracy theory.
If you like, I could just come on here every week with a new conspiracy.
We could possibly do that, but I'm not so sure that's exactly what we want our audience to see.
I can tell you spent 20% of this radio show wondering that aloud.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if we had a 2 or 3 hour radio show, I would talk about conspiracy theories for 2 hours and talk about finances 1 hour.
Well, of course you will.
But we don't have that much time.
All right, so what do you think?
Jamie just said don't talk about conspiracy. She said no.
Okay. Well, I'll take that with a grain of salt.
And Jamie is our senior student liaison, so if you come here, you get to meet Jamie, and Jamie's like one of the most wonderful people you'll ever meet.
So why don't we answer
She's definitely nicer than you and I.
Why don't we answer some of these questions, especially the number 3, which has been on the sheet for several weeks, and we haven't answered it.
Okay.
There was a lady, if you can go back to last week's Facebook comments, there was a lady who was asking for that answer.
Yes, and she wanted to know, why is my home's assessed value different than the market value?
Right.
And the real answer is because the assessed value is made on random numbers. I don't care what they come up with and tell you where it matches, but it's random numbers. Some people, some counties and or cities will base it on a number that's equivalent to a sales price. So maybe they said that a house is worth $300,000 and they're assessing it on that. And that number sometimes is correct, sometimes it's not. Let's say the number was assessed at $300,000 and it's an actual sales price number, but your house is now worth $400,000. That means you're paying taxes on $300,000, which is fine. Which, if that made any sense, that'd be great. But now, if the property value goes down to $250,000, you're still paying assessed value on $300,000, and you may be able to lower that number. The counties and the towns that make it easy for you to understand use that number. Now there's something called mills, and they actually figure out some crazy, weirdo calculation to figure out how much the number actually is. So you may find a house worth $350,000 being assessed at $85,000, which makes absolutely no sense whatsoever, except that number has a calculation that you don't know, that you can find out, but you don't know what that calculation is and how they came up with that calculation. And because of that, it just becomes more and more difficult to try to figure out what your assessed value is. However, one of the things that people do with this is they want to lower their taxes. Everybody want to lower their taxes on their properties? You think that everybody wants to do that, Phil?
People want to do it, but I don't think it's so easy to do.
Well, here's the statistics, or at least statistics that I've heard before, is that only 10% of all people apply to have their taxes lowered, and out of that, only 10% get their taxes lowered. So that's a pretty rotten number. Now, there are attorneys out there who will send you letters and let you do it, but why not? Just do it. Even if most of the attorneys will charge you 1 or 2 years of the difference. So in other words, if they saved you $1,000, they'll charge you $2,000. But from then on, you're saving money, but you weren't going to do it anyway, so pay the attorney to do it. If you want to do it yourself, you can. You walk into the township tax office, you ask for the form to appeal it. You get three real estate agents. You get a real estate agent to give you 3 comps of your house and why that number's too high, and they may be able to change it.
So have you ever done that?
What?
Have you ever done that?
I have actually never done it. We actually have 3 callers that we've been missing out on.
Well, why don't we talk to
Why
them?
don't we talk to Lewis? Lewis, what's going on, man?
How you doing, man?
Dude, are you liking this show or
I got a
what?
question for you.
Go ahead.
I listen to the show every week. Every week. This show is always interesting. Whoever says anything different I don't know what they're thinking about.
All right, but I gotta know: was today's show interesting more or interesting less?
Yes.
Yes. Can we have more detail, Lewis?
I don't think it's less. More? No.
So it's not more and it's not less. That's what you're saying.
Because I missed the Kennedy stuff. I missed that part.
Okay.
All right. So, what's your question?
So, I don't know. Okay.
Do you have a question?
I got a question for you.
Sure.
Yeah, I have a question for you. I just refinanced my house, and when my loan was paid off, the one that I refinanced, he got off of my credit score. My credit score dropped by 50 points.
Okay.
Then when the new loan found its way into my credit score, into my credit thing, they dropped it some more. So I lost probably 60 to 80 points upon refinancing my house.
Okay. So I
was thinking.
Yeah?
Go ahead.
So let me ask you: what did your credit score drop to? Do you mind telling me?
From 640 to like 605, something like that, and then
Okay.
I was one of them was 7 something. My credit score is a little over 600 right now.
Okay. All right.
So
So here's what you need to know. You need to learn how your credit score is calculated, because you don't know how your credit score is calculated, and I can't teach it to you now. We have 9 minutes left of the show, but I can't teach it to you now. Anyway. I probably couldn't teach it to you on the air anyway. But you should come to our class, and we will teach. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you what. If you want to write this down, anybody else want to listen to this, go to investorschoolingapp.com, investorschoolingapp.com, and you could download our app. It's a free app. You can have it, and there's some videos on there. And one of the videos on there is everything you ever want to know about money, like drinking from a fire hose or something like that. And you can watch that video, and in there, I even talk about credit score and how it's calculated, and you'll actually learn how to do that that too, which will be a great idea.
I heard you mention that app last week, and I missed it. The whole investor schooling app.
App.com, right. And you can download it for iPhone or for an Android or anything else you want to download it for. But do that, Lewis. Have you ever been here before?
3 times.
You've been here what?
3 times.
You've been here 3 times?
About 3 times.
Well, what are you doing? You need to come.
You know me. We talked before.
What?
He says that you know him. We've
I'm
talked
like
before.
2 hours.
Let's go to the next
All
one.
right, let's do this. We got to run, Lewis. Why don't you come back tomorrow and we'll talk to you some more. Real quick, let's grab Jose. Jose, what's going on, man?
Yo, what's going on, my brothers? How y'all doing, Phil and Larry?
Hey, what's happening, man? You're a student, right?
Yeah, this Jose, the Army guy. You already know.
Oh, I know
who it is.
exactly who you are. Yeah, we got 30 seconds for you, man. So quick, get to your point.
Look, I'm just getting to the point. Look, the show was great, adding history with all the education that y'all were doing. I just want to let you know the show was great. I was like at the edge of my seat waiting for Phil, to say the deal about last week with JFK. So just letting you know, like, man, what y'all doing is great. Every show is great, but adding this together with education,
It's awesome, man. All right, cool. Thanks, buddy. We appreciate that. Real quick, Scott, what do you got, man?
Hey, great job, Larry and Phil. Enjoyed the conspiracy. I got a big, huge Bible of conspiracy, but I wanted some time. I know you don't have a lot of time, but to talk about trust. Keep up the great work.
We talked about trust the last 2 weeks in a row, man. But come into tomorrow, and we'll talk about it in class for you.
All right.
All right, thanks, man. All right, it's time. What do you think? You think?
It's time.
Woohoo! All right, did you make money on AAL last week, Phil? On AAL?
No.
You didn't make money on it? You didn't play it?
No, I'm in it.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, I had a whole bunch of AAL. And, as the rule says, get out before earnings. I got out the day before. I took a whole bunch of profit. I was very happy to do that, and it worked out really well. But I'm going to tell you right now, it's another play. AAL is still a play. In fact, the only thing left that I can see as a recovery play are all the travel stocks. AAL, Delta Airlines, Carnival, RCL. They're all going to come back, and I would watch them really carefully. I'd like to see AAL below 20 before I bought it again. And it's at 21 now, so I think that's certainly a possibility. But on all of these stocks, my only caution with these is I would go over 2 earnings periods, so go out at least 6 months on them, just in case we do have the Delta variant and the Delta variant of the government overreach, because there's really no such thing as COVID as government overreach. So the government overreach Delta variant might come out and might cause more problems for airlines and for cruise lines. That I would like to, so I'd like to see those numbers come down. RCL, real quick, let me just see where we are. I think it was at 70 something. Hold on. We had RCL at 77, and I'd like to see it below 72 again. And actually, I did that. I wrote it a couple of points last week. I sold it right away, and I made a couple of bucks on that as well. And I'd like to see that. I think this is by the way, I think it's a great stock. If you just want to invest in the stock, you could buy RCL, put it off to the side, and just forget about it, and that's a great stock for you. I'm done with Facebook. I can't invest in Facebook anymore. Facebook used to be my favorite stock option play, and it's just too expensive now. It's hitting points where I just can't be in it anymore. The stock options are too expensive. It's at $370. I just can't be in it anymore.
Well, maybe they're going to do a split or something.
Well, I'm hoping they will, actually. That's what I'd really like to see. So I really don't want to see that. But Apple, again, is a good play, and Apple is in the sweet spot, and the sweet spot would be about 150. Now, I would wait to see if this goes below 140, and if it goes below 140, I'd buy it. That doesn't mean that I'm not going to change my mind and say 145 later on, but right now I'd like to see below 140. The nice thing about Apple, again, is we got earnings coming up this week. Actually, earnings coming up on Tuesday, which means it's probably too late. Most likely, Apple's going to crush earnings, and it's going to be great. By the way, I wanted to talk about why Facebook popped the other day. Facebook popped the other day because of Snap and Twitter, not because of Facebook. So what's happening is people are thinking that if Snap and Twitter made so much money, Facebook's going to make money too. I don't necessarily agree with that philosophy. I think first of all, if I was going to play anything on Facebook, I'd put a put on it right now. But I won't do that 2 days before earnings because I think that's a bad play. But I also think that Facebook will drop. If it goes to the 3 1/4s again, I'm going to turn it back on as one of my 6. If it goes into the 3 1/4 range, I'd like to see that. That would be a great play. That would be a great play for me, and we'll have to see how that plays out. All right, you got anything you want me to look at?
No.
No, you got nothing for me to look at? How about JNUG? JNUG, anytime it hits 68 or below, is okay.
I'm in JNUG for the long run.
Yeah, I've got a 65 strike price that I paid $15 for, which means 80 is my break even. And I think it's into November. It's either October, November, which actually is pretty good. The guys are reminding me, no more puts. No more puts, Larry. No more puts, Larry. They're all reminding me online. I'm watching. It's pretty funny. So our students, we've been told that we're not doing puts anymore because we keep getting burned on them. But JNUG, I like JNUG. I think it's a good play. Alibaba at 205, where it is right now, is absolutely a play, but don't play it too far. 212, 215, absolute max. And if Alibaba goes below 200, again, let's go for 195, and I would ride that up to 207. I wouldn't go very far because it's on a downtrend, and I don't want to see us get hurt in Alibaba. Although again, great stock and a great play. Ford. We talked about actually we were all playing Ford puts, and it worked. We all made money on it, but I think I got to wait now. I'd like to see Ford below 12 if I bought a call on it. So I don't want to touch it right now. I just want to monitor it and see where that goes. Coinbase is another one that I like a lot, and the reason I like Coinbase is honestly because people are buying crypto, whether crypto's up or whether crypto's down. When crypto goes down, it's like a flurry of buying it. When crypto goes up, it's a flurry of buying it. So Coinbase makes money every time someone buys crypto, which to me makes total sense. So they don't care whether the price is up or down. They just care how much volume there is with crypto. So I like the idea of Coinbase, but at 225, too high for me. I'd like to see 215 or below, and I'd jump all over it. Matter of fact, I think it's a fantastic play at 215 or below. Even 220 might be a good play if it goes below 220. I still think it's a good play. It's also, I believe, it's also a good long run stock. In other words, if you want to own it as a stock, I think it's a good long run stock. You just hold on to it and never mind. But you may want to buy crypto instead. It may just be easier. So we got about a minute left, Phil.
All right, I wanted to thank our producer, Sean Serino. Yes, he's Italian. For helping us out
He's
today.
not Italian. He said he wasn't Italian.
Hey, just let me roll with my show.
All right.
All right. If you're interested in becoming a sponsor on this show, you can contact us at info@investorschooling.com, info@investorschooling.com. Don't forget to visit investorschooling.com for your free class this Thursday night at 7 o'clock on real estate investing and stock option investing. Just go to investorschooling.com. Put your name and email address in, and we will invite you out to a free class. You can always call us during the week at 855-939-1137, even though that's the number we use on the show. We do answer that number, and we answer it during the week. So we will see you Thursday night at 7 o'clock. Our address is 108 Corporate Drive in Langhorne, Pennsylvania, and we hope to see you Thursday night.
This program is a paid...
Clear.
Thanks, man. Take care.
All right, guys. Have a good weekend.